summer fade and winter draw near, my Lord, in your presence I live without fear. Through tempest, through snows, through turbulent tide, the touch of your hand is my strength and my guide. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. I ask for no riches that death can destroy. I crave only thee, your love and your joy. The dancers will pass, the singing must end. I welcome the darkness with you for my friend.
Good afternoon. It's time for the offertory. Please take in your right hand whatever it is you'd like to give today. Right. Divine Mother, we offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
We offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
Bless this morning that it serve as a channel of thy light.
Bless this morning and serve the channel for thy
To
light.
truth-seeking souls everywhere.
To truth-seeking souls everywhere.
Just a brief announcement before we start our festival. We are going to start in December, the first Sunday in December, which is Sunday, December 6th. We're going to start having Sunday service here, and the South Bay will start coming up as well.
And this is week 46 from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. The promise of the scriptures. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 15, we read the famous parable of the prodigal son. Jesus tells of the man who took the wealth bestowed on him by his father and squandered it in foreign lands, where he fell into evil ways. At last, repentant, he returned to his father's home. When his father saw him, he was, Jesus tells us, moved with compassion, and ran and fell upon his neck and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Fetch quickly the best robe and put it on him, and give him a ring for his finger and sandals for his feet. And bring out the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and make merry. Because this my son was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and is found. And they began to make merry. Small-hearted human beings, identified as they are with their little egos, give exaggerated importance to any slight they receive from others. Thus they imagine God, like them, to be petty, unpardoning, and vindictive. In God's eyes, however, when human beings go astray, there is nothing to forgive. All of us are aspects only of his own self. He who made us resides in us. He is not far away from us in some far-off heaven. His call to us always is to return to our own home within. The way of return is described in the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter. Supreme blessedness is that yogi's who has completely calmed his mind, controlled his ego-active tendencies, rajas, and purged himself of desire, thereby attaining oneness with Brahma, the infinite spirit. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
I too want to welcome everyone, and I'm going to share from Whispers from Eternity. These are prayer demands by Paramahansa Yogananda. This is: demand to set fire to the forest of darkness. I built a fire of devotion in the dark forest of delusion. Alas, the fire only smoldered. Then thou didst come and set fire to a few of my frailties. That fire quickly spread, consuming the bushes of my prickly desires, my tall, towering vanities, and the thick underbrush of my arrogance. The whole forest of my darkness is blazing, and I behold only thy light shining everywhere. I thank thee, Father, for thy help. Help me thus always. Let me open a path of thy light for all to follow. I was thinking about today's topic and the promise of the scriptures, and really was kind of overshadowed by the terrorist and the tragedy that happened in France. It's really been something I'm sure we've all been feeling the repercussions of that around the world. You know, this complete act of inhumanity and violence and terror for seemingly no reason. And it stirs one to the remembrance of what our purpose is and why we're here. Paramahansa Yogananda gave us the pathway to God through the teachings of self-realization. And he talked about, of course, like this Whispers from Eternity, setting blaze to the dark forest of my ignorance. And the way that he instructed, and the way the great masters, of course, tell us to do this, is by lighting the match of meditation, of deep inner communion with God. But how can we do this? Because this it reminded me of 9/11. I'm sure many of us, all of us, remember 9/11 too. And when something like this happens, it causes us to really look within, because of course the act of violence and inhumanity is just a reflection of what's happening inside. So I'd like to talk today about how do we fight the battle of life and how do we win it, because we are in a battle. I mean, literally, outwardly, we're fighting a battle, yes, against terrorism, but the real battle, of course, is the battle of ignorance within our own self. And the way that Sri Yukteswar talked about it, he actually said there were 8 meannesses of the heart. Our heart is just naturally magnanimous. It's naturally effulgent. In its natural state, it irradiates love and blessings and goodwill to everyone. Of course, through delusion, the heart gets ensnared in these different traps. And Sri Yukteswar talked about 8 of them. And he said they were fear, hatred, shame, grief, condemnation, race prejudice, pride of nationality, and smugness. Essentially, all different traits that stem out of egoity and ignorance. And we celebrated on Friday night, Diwali and the celebration of the Festival of Lights. So the way that we bring in God's light is opening our heart. One of the meditation techniques that Yogananda gave, which many of you practice, is the Om technique. And there's this arm bar, which you may have seen. It's to commune with the sound of Om. And I had a funny experience. I think it was yesterday. We had a Kriya meditation here, and I was practicing the Om technique with my Om board. And all of a sudden, pop! The Om board broke, and it fell to the ground right during the meditation. It made this big kerfuffle. It was like that story Swamiji told where he got that recorder, where he had this recording device, and he was at a symphony, and he wanted to record the symphony, and he wasn't sure exactly how to use it, and then right in the between 2 movements, he hit what he thought was the record button, but he hit the play button, and it was this man's voice saying, "Testing," and it broadcasted throughout the symphony. So I really felt, oh my gosh, here I made a big scene. But we have to be on guard, because these meannesses of the heart, they creep in. We were here one time during the week, Dhyan, myself, and Dharma Devi. And it was actually before our Krishna celebration that we had just, a couple months ago. And this man came in stone cold drunk. I mean, not like a little tipsy, like he could not stand up, he had to sit down drunk. And it was before the celebration started, so we had a couple hours, we were getting ready. And I said, "Hello, how are you?" And it was just very clear that he was not, fully conscious. And there was a part of me that wanted to be judgmental, to that sort of a meanness of the heart to creep in. And I said, "How can I help you?" He said, I'm here for the Krishna celebration. And I said, "Well, it starts in a couple hours." I said, "Maybe, can I get you a glass of water?" So I got him a glass of water. I said, "Maybe you can take a little time and, get sober, and then you can come back for the celebration." But he just had to sit down for a while, maybe 5-10 minutes or so. And that Italian phrase, "In vino es veritas," in wine there's truth. He's like, "I may not know much, but I love Yogananda." And I thought, you should never judge, because you never know what is in someone's heart. And God watches the heart. It doesn't matter how articulate our prayers are, how well we, do our practices. He's really concerned about our heart. Remember in the Ramayana, Paul told some of the beautiful stories that Hanuman, who was so devoted to Rama, after they defeated Ravana, and Rama was bestowing a gift of a pearl necklace to Hanuman. And Hanuman took the pearl necklace and he looked at it and he bit it and he broke it and he broke the pearls and just sort of put it to the side. And, all the people, "Oh my God, he just, desecrated this gift from Lord Rama." And they said, "Why did you do this?" And he said, "Well, it does not have Rama and Sita in its heart. I don't see it engraved." And they said, "Well, this is a gift from Lord Rama. How could you do this?" And he said, "But I'll show you what my real gift to Lord Rama is." And he had knelt down, and as the story goes, Hanuman opened his heart, and he showed that what was in his heart was Rama and Sita. and that his actual heartbeat was the sound of Rama. And that is what God really wants. I love that chant of Swamiji. How shall I love thee, Lord my God, with every breath I breathe. Just as a fire shall burn a whole forest, burn to the root my desires. You know, it's getting to that level where our prayer is a heartthrob. You know, it's what is the dominant thought in the background of our mind? That's the way Master put it. You know, once we have that burning desire for God alone, that's when that desire can burn away all the little desires and the meannesses of the heart. There was another story along these lines that I wanted to share, and it's related to Swamiji. Because one of the keys that Sri Yukteswar gives to overcoming those meannesses of the heart, winning, because remember, this goes back to the battle that we're fighting is the battle for our heart. Because this is where the energy can go either up, in and up in devotion, or down and out in emotion. And so one of the keys that Sri Yukteswar talks about for burning the roots of our desires and purifying the heart of any meanness and dross is satsang. Satsang. Good company. Sat is truth. Sangha is fellowship. It's that being attentively present with people that are of high ideals, like yourself. I feel blessed. I know Dharma Devi feels the same, and all of you do, I'm sure. It's a blessing to have spiritual community. So anyway, this story was, Swamiji wrote in 2006 the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And as part of the marketing and outreach effort for the book, he was doing signed copies of the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And I served at Crystal Clarity at the time, so I had a great joy to bring these books down to Swamiji's apartment, and I would put a book on his desk, and someone would help him open it, and he would sign it, and then we had this whole system to make it easy for Swamiji. And he would do like 100 or 200 books at a time. And I was just kneeling, and he was sitting at a desk, so I was kneeling to his side and just putting book after book, and silently, not saying anything, but just feeling the blessing of being in his presence. And about, halfway through, maybe a half hour or so, there was just a moment where he just looked down at me and he just smiled. Mm-hmm. And it was a very simple moment, but there was an exchange. I felt, here is a soul friend. Here is my best friend who has lifted me up. That's the power of the Guru. And Master, of course, is not in the body, but because he's not in the body, of course, doesn't mean we can't have that divine, real inner connection with him. But you also, as humble, sincere disciples, bring that sat, bring that truth, bring that presence of God alive. So how shall we love God? With every breath that we breathe. That is what is going to help us to fight this battle. We, of course, may not go into the army and actually fight against terrorists. What we really need to do is conquer the forest of ignorance in our own self. And if we can practice peace and harmony at home, with our loved ones, with our friends, with our close intimates, that is actually one of the greatest litmus tests of our spiritual progression. Are we peaceful? Are we kind with those that we're closest with? You know, familiarity can breed contempt. Watch out for these meannesses of the heart and allowing them to creep in. So that's why time and time again that we have to open our heart and sincerely ask for help. We don't feel devotion, pray to God for devotion. We don't feel energy, pray to God for that energy. If we don't feel clarity, pray to God for that. And then we too will become like the Satguru. You know how Master described Sri Yukteswar himself? He said, amazing it was to find that a master with such a fiery will could be so calm within. And that he was the perfect expression of the Vedic man of God, softer than the flower where kindness is concerned, and stronger than the thunder where principles are at stake. God bless you.